Elara's voice cuts through the storage room. Your headline is manipulative. Julian leans against the prop shelf, smirking. Your design is soulless. Soulless? She steps closer, fury rising. Just because I don't slap cheap provocation on everything doesn't mean... It means you're scared to take risks. Her jaw clenches. And you're all style, no substance. Action! They pivot instantly. Julian catches her hand, fingers threading together. Elara melts into him, palm on his chest. The camera's red light blinks. You make me believe in second chances, he whispers, eyes searching hers. You make me believe I deserve them, she breathes back. The moment holds. Rain drums overhead. Someone coughs. Cut! They spring apart like touching fire. Julian rubs his palm. Elara stares at her fingers, both hearts racing, both pretending that when the camera stopped, neither wanted to let go. Elara's laptop glowed in the coffee shop window. 2 weeks of work, finally perfect. Heritage typography, earth tones, hometown coffee rebrand, ready. The door opened. Julian Marks walked in, cashmere sweater, portfolio case, that smirk. He headed straight for the presentation area. Her stomach dropped. This was her pitch. Oh, wonderful, Mrs. Chen said when she and her husband arrived. Rachel sent both of you. Elara presented first. Warm nostalgia, gentle modernization. Mrs. Chen touched the samples reverently. Then Julian stood. What if hometown coffee isn't about looking back? His boards exploded with energy. Burnt orange, electric coral, vibrating typography. You're not preserving nostalgia, you're creating it. Every single day. 4 a.m. shots for strangers who become friends. You're a heartbeat, not a museum. Mr. Chen laughed. He's right. 20 minutes later, they chose his concept. Elara packed her laptop. Controlled, professional. Your work was really solid, Julian started. Don't, she zipped her bag. You ambushed my pitch. Rachel sent us both. Collaboration requires communication. She headed for the door. Congratulations. Rain hit her face outside. Cold. Clarifying. Rachel's corner office. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Elara stood one side of the conference table. Julian leaned against the opposite wall. They hadn't spoken since coffee. Rachel ended her call. Sit. They sat, opposite ends. Evermore approached us, dating app, $250,000 budget. She slid folders across. They want real couples, not influencers. Us. Julian frowned. Cast them? Become them. 2 people from our team with chemistry from actually knowing each other. Rachel's gaze moved between them. The CEO saw your hometown coffee presentation. Both. She called you controlled lightning. She wants that. Elara kept her voice calm. You want us to pretend to be a couple. I want you to be the face of a campaign worth $250,000. Julian's jaw tightened. Rachel, we can barely... You'll create exactly the dynamic they're paying us to capture. This campaign could define our next 5 years. I can't do this, Elara said. Neither can I, Julian added. Rachel reached for her phone. Understood. I'll tell them. Wait, Elara heard herself. If we do this, what happens after? Rachel set down her phone. The campaign lead gets creative director. The other gets reassigned to support roles. Both of us competing? Julian asked. The one who drives the vision, connects with audiences, makes their metrics sing, that person leads. When do you need an answer? 5 minutes. She left. Rain drummed windows. Elara walked to the glass. I need this, she said. That position. So do I. Julian's voice was quiet. She turned. He looked tired. I've spent my life being underestimated. The pretty boy who couldn't have substance. This role would prove I'm more than my face. So we do it. Smile and pretend for 6 months. Julian walked to the window. I don't want to be your enemy. Then you shouldn't have ambushed my pitch. I presented work. The client chose. That's the job. And it doesn't reward playing safe. You're brilliant, Elara, but you're so terrified of being wrong, you never take risks. Heat flared. And you're so desperate to prove you're deep, you mistake provocation for insight. They stared at each other, breathing hard. Rachel knocked. Time's up. Answer? Elara held Julian's gaze. We'll do it. Together, Julian added. Excellent. First shoot Monday. You're a couple everywhere. Evermore wants authenticity. She paused at the door. Whoever wins. The other reports to them. They exchanged numbers. When his hand brushed hers, they both pulled back fast. Studio B, cozy living room set, vintage couch, Edison bulbs. Elara arrived on time. Black turtleneck, severe bun. Julian was already there. Simone smiled. Sit together. Elara chose the far end. Julian took the opposite. Closer. They shifted. Touch. Elara's spine went rigid. I'm sorry? Touch each other. Couples occupy space together. Right now you look like strangers. Julian extended his hand palm up. Elara placed her hand in his. Warm, calloused fingertips. Good. Now talk. Tell me how you met. Julian's thumb moved against her knuckle. We met 3 years ago. No, tell her. He turned. Gray eyes, flecked with blue. I thought you looked terrified, and angry that you looked terrified. Her breath caught. Your turn, Simone prompted. I thought you were too handsome to be good at your job. I resented you before you spoke. Why? Because people like you don't have to try as hard. People like me are never taken seriously. Every win gets attributed to luck. The air changed. So we're both fighting invisible opponents, Elara said, and treating each other like enemies. His grip tightened. You should have been terrifying that day. You are. It's one of your best qualities. She smiled despite herself. Weirdest compliment ever. I'm gifted with words. You're gifted with audacity. Simone cleared her throat. This friction, good. But there has to be respect. Attraction. Can you access that? Julian kept looking at her. Elara designs like people breathe. Every pixel has purpose. Working with her makes me better. The words landed unexpected. And you? Simone asked. Julian sees things I miss. He takes risks I'm too careful for. Sometimes those risks make the work transcend. Sometimes, he echoed. High praise. The crew moved in. Lights, mics. Tell her about your favorite project, Simone coached. Julian shifted closer. Morrison Brewery. The disaster. It failed, but it mattered. You'd rather fail with integrity than succeed with compromise. Wouldn't you? Too close to something raw. What's your favorite project of mine? The Cascade rebrand, 2 years ago. I studied your portfolio before taking this job. System and soul. I wanted to learn how you did that. You're lying. I'm many things. Liar isn't one. The monitors showed them soft-focused, guards down. Simone called, cut. Outside, weak sunlight. Julian held the door. Coffee? She should have said no. Just coffee. He ordered for both, her matcha, his cortado. Perfectly right. How did you know? I pay attention. You order matcha when stressed. The observation felt intimate. We're not so different, he said. Just armor ourselves differently. Truce? He extended his hand. She took it. Truce. His grip was warm, lingering. Something had shifted. Vera, the photographer, dressed in black, spoke commands. Closer. Elara shifted, hand at Julian's shoulder. Studio A, industrial loft, exposed brick, trendy apartment set. Closer. Julian's hand settled on her waist, tentative. Jesus Christ, you look like coworkers at a funeral. Vera stepped back. This is love, not a hostage situation. Elara's face burned. You're supposed to be obsessed, like you'd rather touch than breathe. Julian's jaw tightened. We're not actors. Then method. Think of yourselves 6 months from now, reaching for each other in your sleep. Break, Vera announced. 15 minutes. Elara headed for craft services. Coffee, chocolate. Julian appeared. We're terrible at this. Spectacularly. She sipped coffee. Maybe we should quit and give up creative director? He selected a croissant. Would you walk away? I don't know how to pretend to be close when every instinct screams closeness is dangerous. Julian was quiet. Then, what if we don't pretend? What if we just become actual friends? Maybe the camera reads truth better than performance. Friends, you and me. Is that impossible? Something vulnerable flickered. We manage coffee without bloodshed. That was détente. Then it's a start. He turned to face her. I know we have history. I know you don't trust easily, but we're stuck for 6 months. We can be enemies, or we can be reluctant allies becoming something better. She considered. Here's my honesty, he continued. I'm terrified of this shoot. Terrified I'll fail at something requiring vulnerability, because I built walls that make people think I'm open when I'm not. Raw, real. I'm terrified you'll be good at this, she admitted. Charming and natural, and I'll be the stiff one who ruins everything. We're both terrified. Okay, that's something. That's ridiculous. But true, she smiled. Your logic is infuriating. Tell me something real, not work, just something true about you. She could deflect. I have a cat named Eloise, after the medieval philosopher. I talk to her like she understands complex arguments. Julian's smile was genuine. You know the story? I minored in philosophy, more than a pretty face. I'm starting to realize that. Places, Vera called. Julian extended his hand. Friends? She looked at it, placed her hand in his. Reluctant allies. I'll take it. They walked back, hands clasped. Something had loosened. The shoot should have been simple. Today, Studio B, couples debate night, set dressed cozy, bookshelves built from modular units. Elara was mid-explanation, passionate, gesturing with her mug when she heard it. Metallic groan, wood scraping, the bookshelf tilted forward. Time slowed, books sliding, structure bowing, directly at her. Then Julian was there, his arm locked around her waist, yanking her back. They hit concrete hard, Julian's back taking impact, Elara landing on him, his arms cradling her head as shelving crashed where she'd been. Echo, scream, dust. Only their breathing, harsh, synchronized. Are you hurt? Julian's voice ragged. Elara, are you hurt? I'm okay. She tried to push up. His arms tightened. Don't move. There might be glass. Just stay still. The crew rushed over. Set designer shouting. First aid called. Vera photographing. But Elara could only focus on Julian's heart slamming, his hands shaking where they held her skull, his eyes sweeping for injuries. You're okay? She asked. You took the fall. You're back. Concrete's not that hard. And you're fine, so I'm fine. You could have been hurt. So could you. Something raw crossed his features. Don't do that again. Do what? Not pay attention. You get so focused the world disappears. It's terrifying. The admission hung between them. Medical check, the PA appeared. Can you both stand? They separated carefully. Julian winced. Torn shirt, concrete dust. Elara's hands scraped, ankle protesting. Minor injuries. Vera was already on phone with Rachel. That footage is gold. Pure instinct. Real protection. Can't buy that authenticity. Elara's stomach turned. We're done today, the production manager announced. Studio closed until safety audit. Julian caught her elbow. Let me drive you home. I can manage. Elara, please. She should refuse. Okay. His car, vintage Volvo. He drove carefully, rain spattering windshield. 3 blocks from Cascade, he pulled over. Cut the engine. What are you doing? Decompressing. Because if I drive you home now, I'll say things I shouldn't. Her heart did something complicated. What would you say? That I was terrified. That getting to you felt like drowning. That I can't remember the last time I cared that much about someone's safety. That this stopped being just campaign somewhere between coffee and now. Rain traced patterns down windshield. We can't do this, Elara said. I know. We're competing. When this ends, one of us loses everything. I know. And I don't trust easily. Then don't trust me. Just tell me if you felt it too. When I grabbed you, tell me if your first thought was, he could have been hurt. Yes. We should go, she said instead. Something sad flickered. He nodded, started the car. At her building, he walked her to her door. Julian, I know, professional distance. But thank you for today. Get some rest. His smile was soft, broken. We have a campaign to win. She closed the door between them, slid down to her entryway floor. Eloise wound around her legs. Phone buzzed. Julian. Your ankle. Ice it. 20 minutes on, 10 off. Another buzz. Not a doctor, but watch Grey's Anatomy. She smiled. Next text. I'm glad you're okay. Sleep well, Elara Chen. She clutched her phone, trying to remember why falling for Julian Marks was a bad idea. Failing spectacularly. The video dropped 6 a.m. Thursday. Elara's phone exploded. Text from Rachel. Email from Evermore. Slack from everyone. She opened the app. First campaign video. Meet Elara and Julian. Real love, real debate. Comments section. Massacre. So fake, LOL. Zero chemistry. They look like they hate each other. Refund my download. Screenshots on Twitter. Reddit thread. TikTok circus music. Elara sat hard on her floor. Julian calling. Tell me you're seeing this. I'm seeing it. We're destroyed. Rachel's going to kill us. Text from Rachel. Emergency meeting. 9 a.m. Both. We failed, Elara said. Spectacularly. Silence. What do we do? Face Rachel. Fix this. Or accept we're losing everything. Together? Together. They met outside Cascade at 8:45. Dark circles, uncombed hair, yesterday's clothes. Elevator in silence. Rachel's door open. Sit. They sat. Rachel spun her monitor. Dashboard. Downloads down 12%. Engagement down 8%. Sentiment 73% negative. Client called 6:30, threatening to pull contract. $250,000 gone. Creative director on hold until we prove we can execute basics. Elara's chest constricted. Right now I see 2 talented creatives so busy protecting themselves, they forgot how to be human. You look like hostage negotiation, not falling in love. We're trying, Julian said. Try harder. Client gave us 1 chance. New content by Monday. Raw. Real. Something that makes viewers believe you're actually together, not tolerating proximity for a paycheck. That's 4 days. Then spend them together. Go somewhere. Be alone. Figure out if you can stand each other, because right now you're both losing everything, and you're too scared to do what needs doing. Dismissed. They stood in the hallway. Your place or mine? Julian asked. Elara looked at him. Exhaustion, defeat, still trying to find humor. Mine. This weekend. We figure this out or accept we're done. Okay. Bring your laptop. Coffee preferences. Whatever you need. Are we working or... I don't know yet, but Rachel's right. We're failing because we're performing instead of connecting. So maybe we stop performing. What if we can't? She pressed elevator button. Then at least we'll fail honestly. Julian touched her elbow. For what it's worth, I don't think we're that bad. I think we're terrified of being that good. Maybe. They parted in the rain, made plans for Saturday. Elara made it home. Fed Eloise. Collapsed on couch. Phone buzzed. Julian. We got through worse. This is just bigger audience. She smiled. Texted back. That was you sabotaging me. This is us sabotaging ourselves. His response. So we stop sabotaging. We start being honest. Her fingers hovered. What if honest is too dangerous? 3 dots. Then we're already dangerous. Might as well be honest about it. 20 messages about playlists, coffee, whether Eloise would tolerate him. Pointless. Stupid. The most honest they'd been. Saturday, she thought, they'd figure it out, or fail together. Somehow less terrifying than failing alone. Julian arrived 9:03 a.m., 2 paper bags looking nervous. Elara opened door, leggings, oversized hoodie, messy hair, glasses. You're late. Traffic. But I brought bribes, coffee, bagels, and catnip because I refused to lose Eloise's vote. She smiled. Bribing my cat. Bribing everyone. Is it working? Coffee's working. Her apartment, industrial loft, exposed brick, plants everywhere. One wall covered floor to ceiling in sketches, connected by red string. That's incredible. He set bags down, drawn to the wall. It's chaotic. It's your process. This is how you think. Everything influencing everything. Eloise appeared, winding between his legs. He crouched, offered his hand. The cat headbutted his palm enthusiastically. Traitor, Elara muttered. She has excellent taste. Also, I researched favorite spots for her breed. You researched my cat. How not to be murdered by your cat, difference. She retrieved coffee. Couch? What's the goal? She sat, tucking legs under. Figure out who we actually are when we're not performing. Julian claimed opposite end. Research, on us. They spent an hour watching footage. Not the failed video, behind the scenes. Outtakes, moments between takes. Pause, Julian said. Frame frozen. Them arguing about angles. Irritated but real. We look real there. What changed? We started performing. I closed off. You went charming. We masked. So the problem isn't chemistry. It's that we're too scared to show it. What are we scared of? Julian was quiet. I'm scared you'll see I'm not as smart as I pretend. That the philosophy and vocabulary are overcompensating. Raw. I'm scared you'll use me, like someone did before. Scared I'll let you in and you'll take what you need and leave me with proof I was right not to trust anyone. Who hurt you? She told him. Ex-boyfriend, stolen portfolio, submitted under his name, got the job she'd earned. Julian's hands clenched. I would never. Everyone says that. Then stakes need to be different. What if we stop competing? Collaborate, really collaborate, and tell Rachel whoever gets director, the other stays as partner. Rachel would never. Then we walk away together. I don't want the job if it means destroying you. She stared. You'd give up creative director? I'd give up a title to keep working with someone who makes me better. That's what I figured out. You make me better, Elara. Every argument. I improve. And I think I do the same for you. She thought about hometown coffee, how Julian's risk elevated work even though she lost. We make each other better. So let's stop fighting it. Eloise jumped between them, curling contentedly. Julian reached to pet her, hand brushing Elara's knee, electric. We should work, Elara said. Didn't move. We should. Also didn't move. Neither opened laptops. Rain pattering skylight. Tell me something else real, Julian said. Not work. I'm afraid of mediocrity more than failure. Mediocre means you weren't brave enough to risk terrible. That explains the wall. You'd rather create chaos looking for greatness. Your turn. I don't play piano badly because I'm untalented. I play badly because I'm afraid if I practice enough to be good, people will expect perfection in everything. That's heartbreaking. That's life as a pretty face. Everyone assumes easy. I see your effort. I've always seen it. That's why I resented you. And now? Now I think maybe we're both scared of the same thing, being exposed as frauds, or exposed as human. Is there a difference? Maybe not. Eloise stretched, paw touching Julian's hand, the other Elara's leg, creating connection. We should film something, Elara said. Just us, no crew, just conversation. Julian pulled out phone, propped on coffee table, hit record. Attempt number infinity, Elara and Julian. We're supposed to sell you on love, Elara told camera, but we're terrible at pretending, so we'll tell you the truth. Truth is, we're competitors, Julian continued, fighting for the same job. Truth is, I don't trust easily, and he's never had anyone believe his substance over surface. Truth is, this campaign was supposed to be performance, but somewhere between coffee and falling bookshelves, something changed. We stopped acting, Elara finished, and that's terrifying, because real is vulnerable, and vulnerable means someone can hurt you. But maybe that's what connection is, choosing risk over safety, truth over performance, believing someone will catch you. Elara's breath caught. You caught me. I'll always catch you. Rain, Eloise purring, camera recording. This is terrible campaign video, Elara said. This is the most honest thing we've filmed. She looked at him across the couch. This person who'd challenged her walls and pulled her from debris and was now holding nothing back. Post it. Rachel will kill us. Then we die honest. But let me edit first. Julian laughed. You're chaos, Elara Chen. You're impossible, Julian Marks. Good thing we make each other better. 6 hours editing, adding B-roll, cutting in behind-the-scenes moments. By sunset, 60 seconds of raw truth. Posted 6 p.m. Caption, we tried perfect, here's real. Ordered Thai, sat on her floor eating from containers. Eloise stealing chicken. Julian's phone buzzed. Then Elara's, then both. Comments rolling. This is what I wanted. Finally honest. The vulnerability, this is romance. Just downloaded Evermore. Rachel called 8 p.m. Speakerphone. Before you yell, I'm not yelling, I'm watching metrics. 2 hours, 50,000 views. Engagement through the roof. Client just called crying. They want more. What did you do? Elara and Julian looked at each other. We stopped lying, Julian said. We stopped competing, Elara added. We just talked. Long pause. Keep doing that. More content Wednesday. Same energy. Don't go back to performing. She hung up. They sat in laptop glow, Thai food scattered, view count climbing. We did it. We did something. Stopped fighting each other. Started fighting the problem. Is that what this is? Among other things. Julian's phone buzzed. Text. He glanced. Something shifted in expression. What? Nothing. Headhunter. Zenith again. Words dropped like stones. What did you tell them? I told them I'm working on something important. Told them to stop calling. You don't have to do that for me. Not for you, for us. Whatever this is becoming. Implication hung heavy. Stay, Elara said. Julian's eyes widened. What? Tonight, stay. We'll edit more. Plan the week. It's late and you're exhausted and I have a guest room and I don't want you to leave yet. Confession cost everything. Julian was still. Okay. Okay? I'll stay. They worked until midnight, building plans on her wall, arguing aesthetics, falling into rhythm. When they called it, Julian headed for guest room, paused in doorway. Thank you, for trusting me enough to stay. Don't make me regret it. I won't, I promise. Door closed. Elara sat alone, Eloise in lap, video looping. She watched herself and Julian being real. Watched truth neither had been ready to name. Phone buzzed. Julian. From guest room. You still awake? She typed. Unfortunately. His response. Can't sleep either. Too much coffee. Or honesty. She smiled. Both, probably. 3 dots. Today was good. It was. Pause. Good night, Elara Chen. She typed, deleted, settled on. Good night, Julian Marks. But didn't sleep for another hour. Neither, based on glow under his door, did he. The clip surfaced Monday morning. Elara making coffee. Julian had stayed the weekend. When her phone exploded. Unknown account. Clip she didn't remember. Timestamp. Friday, 2:47 p.m. Disaster shoot. Crew must have kept phone recording. Shaky footage. Julian pulling Elara from debris. Crash. Aftermath. Then, they were arguing about camera angles, voices rising. Mid-sentence, Julian reached out, brushed flour from her hair. Absent, instinctive, protective. Didn't break stride with his argument. And that's why your symbolism is lazy. Flower brushing. You rely on aesthetics over meaning. Elara had frozen half a second, then continued but voice softer, eyes staying on his face. Clip ended. Caption. When you argue with someone and they still take care of you. This is love. Hashtag Elara and Julian. Comments flooding. The way he doesn't even think. Tearing down her argument and protecting her simultaneously. This is intellectual intimacy. Downloaded ever more because of this. 200,000 views. Climbing. Phone rang. Julian from guest room. Seeing this? Seeing it. Pause. I don't remember that. Neither do I. But watching it, she remembered the feeling. His fingers in her hair, chest tightening. That's not performance, that's real, I know. Heavy pause. What are we doing? She looked at video looping, herself seeing Julian unmistakably as falling. I don't know, but it's too late to stop. Is it? Before she could answer, Rachel calling. Hold on. Switched calls. Hi. Get here, now, both. Clients coming. This video, 500,000 views. Downloads up 40%. They want to base entire campaign around this. Real moments, unscripted chemistry, you being actual humans. Rachel. 30 minutes, we're renegotiating. More money, more timeline. This is huge. Move. Hung up. Elara sat on floor, overwhelmed. Julian emerged. Yesterday's clothes, sleep-messed hair. Rachel? We need to go. Campaign's blowing up. They want more. More of us being real? If we do this, keep being honest on camera, there's no hiding. I know. People will see how I look at you. Her heart stuttered. How do you look at me? He crossed space, knelt where she sat. Hands framed her face. Gentle, questioning. Like you're the best part of every day. Like arguing with you is better than agreeing with anyone else. Like somewhere between coffee and falling debris and late-night content creation. I forgot this was supposed to be temporary. Words broke something open. Julian, we're competing. I don't care about the job. I care about this. About you. About us becoming something real in the middle of something fake. You should care. I should, but I don't. You made me better, Elara. Made me someone who values work more than title. You changed everything. Tears burned. What if you hurt me? What if I don't? Everyone does. Then I'll be the exception. Let me be the exception. Eloise wound between them, morning light through windows. We're supposed to be at Cascade in 30. We are. We should go. Neither moved. Julian's hands cradled her skull. Tell me what you want. I want to believe you. I want to stop being scared. Then trust me, just for today, just this moment, trust that I see you, all of you, and I'm not going anywhere. The campaign ends in 6 months, so we have 6 months to prove this is more than a campaign. She searched his face, found no performance, just Julian, undefended, offering himself without guarantee. Okay, okay? Trust, just for today. He smiled. I'll take today. Then kissed her. Soft, careful, question more than claim. Lips warm, hands steady, breath mingling. She kissed back. Let herself fall. Into him. Into terrifying possibility. When they broke apart, breathing hard, Julian's smile went crooked. We're definitely late. Definitely. Rachel's going to kill us. Worth it. He laughed, pulled her to feet. Come on, let's make this the best thing we've ever done. Just the campaign? The campaign and whatever this is. Whatever we're becoming. They drove to Cascade together, hands linked across console, viral video playing on radio, city waking around them. Meeting was chaos. CEO on video, vibrating with excitement. Metrics staggering. Couples citing Elara and Julian energy as goals. Rachel smiled. Whatever you did this weekend, keep doing it. Client wants 6-month extension. Weekly content. You're the face of Evermore's rebrand. And creative director? Julian asked, hand finding Elara's under table. Rachel paused. Board discussed. Given success, we're creating 2 positions. Co-creative directors. Equal authority, equal salary. Interested? Elara's breath caught. Both of us? Campaign works because you work together. Why separate that? Elara looked at Julian. He was already looking at her. Together? He asked. Together. They accepted. Meeting dissolved into logistics. But all Elara could focus on was weight of Julian's hand, way his thumb traced circles, way they'd turned fake relationship into real partnership, and maybe something even more. When they left that evening, sun setting, viral video at 2 million. Dinner? Julian asked. Celebrate? Your place. I want to hear the terrible piano. His smile was soft. It's really bad. I'm counting on it. They drove to his apartment. She curled in his reading chair, watched his fingers miss keys and keep going, watched him be imperfect and human and beautiful. When he finished, she applauded. Told you, terrible. Perfect, perfectly terrible. He crossed, pulled her to feet. Dance with me. There's no music. We'll make our own. They swayed to traffic sounds, sirens, their own breathing. His arms around her waist, her head on shoulder. 2 people who'd started as enemies, become collaborators, were now becoming something with no name. I'm still scared, she admitted. Me too. What if we fail? Then we fail together. I'd rather fail with you than succeed alone. She lifted her head, found his eyes. The campaign is work. This is real. Don't confuse them. How? We untangle carefully, day by day. Remember that whatever happens with Evermore, this exists independent of cameras and metrics. You're sure? I'm terrified, but I'm sure. She kissed him. No cameras, no crew, no performance. Just them, choosing risk over safety, truth over protection, each other despite every reason not to. When they broke apart, Julian's smile was crooked. Stay. I have a cat. Bring her, stay anyway. Just tonight, just today. Trust me for today. She thought about Eloise, about boundaries, about walls, then thought about Julian's hands in her hair, his body between her and debris. Terrible piano, seeing her chaos as beautiful. Okay, just for today. But they both knew it wasn't temporary. It was beginning of something terrifying and real, and maybe worth the risk of being hurt. Outside, Portland turned to night. Viral video climbed toward 3 million. Internet celebrated their chemistry. In Julian's apartment, they ordered takeout, edited content, argued aesthetics, fell asleep on couch tangled together. Eloise eventually joining after Elara drove home to collect her. Just for today turned into tomorrow, and tomorrow turned into something neither had planned for. Something real. The notification came 8 a.m. Wednesday. Emergency campaign pivot, live Q&A tonight, 7 p.m. PST. No script. Elara stared at her phone from Julian's kitchen. 3 weeks since the viral flower video, 3 weeks of climbing metrics, media attention, and navigating this new territory where partner and something more blurred completely. Define no script, Julian said, reading over her shoulder. Exactly what it sounds like. Evermore wants us to answer viewer questions live, unfiltered. He poured coffee. Because we've been so good at separating authentic from performed. She couldn't argue. They held hands in meetings because it felt natural now. Last night they'd fallen asleep reviewing footage, his arm around her waist. When did that become normal? Rachel, run through at 2 p.m. Simone will prep you. Be ready for anything. Anything, Julian echoed. Great. At Cascade by 1:45. Studio A transformed. 2 chairs angled toward each other, small table between, 3 cameras for multiple angles. Intimate and exposing. Simone already there, clipboard ready. Rapid fire practice. I ask questions the audience might ask. You answer honestly. Ready? No, Elara said. Perfect. How did you two meet? Julian glanced at Elara. She nodded. 3 years ago at Cascade, he said. Elara walked in looking like she wanted to murder someone. I thought she was the most terrifyingly competent person I'd ever seen. I thought he was coasting on looks, Elara added, resented him before he spoke. Simone made notes. Good. Honest. Next, what's your favorite thing about each other? Elara answered first. He challenges every assumption, doesn't let me hide behind perfection. She makes me want to be better, Julian said, smarter, more honest, doesn't accept surface-level anything. When did you know you were in love? The question landed heavy. They hadn't said that word, hadn't named what this was. Elara's throat tightened. No script for this. I don't know if there was a single moment, she said slowly. Maybe accumulation, 1,000 small things that added up to something I couldn't ignore. Julian's voice was quiet. The bookshelf, when it fell. My first thought wasn't about the shoot or campaign, just I needed her safe. Everything else was background noise. Simone's pen moved. That's good, really good. But here's the hard one. Are you actually together, or is this just for the campaign? Silence stretched. We're together, Elara said, before she could overthink it. Julian's head turned toward her. We are? She met his eyes. Aren't we? We spend every day together, sleep in the same apartment most nights, hold hands when no one's watching. What else would you call it? His smile was slow, certain. Together. I'd call it together. Then that's what we tell them, she said. We're together. Started as campaign, became real. Simple. Simone continued drilling for 3 hours. By 6:30 p.m., live stream setup complete. Elara had changed into soft blue sweater Julian once said made her eyes look like rain. Julian wore charcoal Henley she'd stolen twice. Rachel behind monitors. We're live in 3, 2. The count reached 0. Elara's phone showed live stream, their faces in split screen, viewer count climbing past 50,000. First question on prompter. What's the most surprising thing you've learned about each other? Julian answered without hesitation. That she's funny, wickedly funny, hides it under professionalism, but when we're alone, she has this dry wit that destroys me. Elara felt her face warm. That he's gentle. Everyone sees charm and confidence, but he's careful with people. With me, notices when I'm overwhelmed and creates space without making me ask. Next, do you ever actually fight, or is it all intellectual debate? Oh, we fight, Elara said. Last week, 20-minute argument about Helvetica versus Futura for a headline. She was wrong, Julian interjected. I was right. Helvetica is timeless. Futura is trendy. Futura is optimistic. Helvetica is corporate. They were leaning toward each other, old friction sparking. See, Elara gestured, this is what I live with. Absolute certainty about subjective things. Says the woman who color calibrates her monitor weekly. That's professionalism. That's obsession. Comment section exploded with laughter. Hearts. Viewer count hit 80,000. Question 3. What's your biggest fear about this relationship? The levity drained. Elara looked at Julian. He nodded. Permission. I'm afraid of being used again, she said quietly. I've been in a relationship where someone took my trust and turned it into their advancement. I'm terrified of that pattern repeating, even though Julian's never given me reason to believe it would. Julian's hand found hers on the table. I'm afraid of not being enough, of her realizing that underneath the words and work, I'm just a regular person who's going to disappoint her eventually. That one day she'll look at me and see all the ways I'm ordinary. You're not ordinary, Elara said, forgetting cameras. You've never been ordinary to me. And you're not going to be used, not by me, not ever. They were staring at each other, audience forgotten. Questions kept coming. When did they first kiss? His apartment, after terrible piano. What's their favorite memory together? The weekend they stopped performing. What do they want for the future? That one made them both pause. I want to keep working together, Julian said, challenging each other, building something that matters more than titles. I want to trust this, Elara added. Believe that good things don't always end in betrayal. Let myself be happy without waiting for the other shoe to drop. Live stream ended 8:30. Comment section flooded with support, tears, people sharing their own stories. Rachel appeared from behind monitors. That was perfect. Client is ecstatic. You two are... She paused, studying them. You're not acting anymore, are you? Elara and Julian exchanged a look. No, they said together. Rachel nodded slowly. Good. Keep it that way. Outside, Portland's night air cool against flushed faces. That was terrifying, Elara said. That was necessary. Julian pulled her closer. We needed to name it, what we are. And what are we? He stopped walking, turned under a streetlight. We're real. We're messy. Two people who started fighting and ended up here. And I don't want to go back to before. Neither do I. He kissed her, slow, certain, the city moving around them. When they broke apart, Elara smiled. So, together? Together, Julian confirmed. Finally official. The email came Thursday. Client wants coastal content. Cannon Beach. Authentic Oregon romance. Departure Saturday. Return Sunday. Road trip, Julian said, reading over Elara's shoulder in the break room. 3 hours trapped in a car. What could go wrong? Everything, she sipped matcha. We've never spent that much uninterrupted time outside work context. We've been sleeping in the same apartment for 2 weeks. That's different. That's... She searched for words. Incidental proximity. This is forced adventure. Saturday arrived with typical Portland gray, clouds promising rain. Julian picked Elara up at 7 a.m., trunk packed with camera gear. Coffee first, he declared. They drove through empty weekend streets, NPR murmuring, something about coastal erosion and climate adaptation. Julian listened with focus. Elara found herself watching him instead of the city. At the coffee shop, they ordered their usual. Hit Highway West. City gave way to suburbs, then farmland, then slow climb into coastal mountains. Fog clung to Douglas firs. Okay, Elara said, pulling out her phone. We're supposed to record spontaneous conversation for content. Rachel wants road trip vibes. Authentic meaning scripted? Authentic meaning we pretend we're not recording. She propped phone on dashboard. We're live. Talk to me about favorite road trip memory? Easy. 17. Drove Seattle to San Diego with my best friend after graduation. $200. Terrible playlist. No plan. Slept in the car. It was the freest I've ever felt. What made it free? No expectations. No one watching. Just movement and possibility. He glanced at her. Your turn. I've never done a real road trip. His eyebrows rose. Never? My family didn't travel much. After college, too focused on work. She looked at passing trees. I think I've been afraid of unstructured. Like if I'm not controlling every variable, everything falls apart. And now? Now I'm in a car with you, driving to a beach I've never seen, for a campaign I can't control, in a relationship I didn't plan. She smiled. So maybe I'm learning. They talked for an hour. Childhood dreams, college mistakes, the moment each realized they wanted creative work. The conversation flowed easy, unexpected depths, comfortable silences. They stopped in Tillamook for lunch. Sandwich shop, mismatched tables. Elara ordered turkey avocado. Julian got roast beef, immediately offered her half. You like avocado, he said. You've been paying attention. I always pay attention to you. Simple words. They landed soft, but deep. Back on the road, conversation shifted to work. Debating ever more direction, solving creative problems Rachel hadn't assigned yet. This is what I love, Julian said as they crested the coastal range, Pacific visible through fog breaks. The way our brains work together. Like jazz, you riff, I respond. We build something neither could make alone. Best description of collaboration I've ever heard. I'm gifted with words. You're gifted with audacity, both grinning. Cannon Beach appeared through mist, haystack rock rising from tide pools, town small and charming. Julian parked near beach access. The shoot was supposed to be structured. Instead, Julian grabbed her hand and ran. What are you doing? Elara laughed, stumbling after. Being spontaneous. Rachel wants authentic. Let's give her authentic. They ran toward water, sneakers sinking in wet sand, cold wind whipping hair. When they reached the tide line, Julian spun her around. Elara was laughing so hard she couldn't breathe. The crew caught up, cameras rolling, capturing pure joy. They spent 2 hours exploring, found sea stars in tide pools, argued about rock formations. Julian was right about basalt. Built terrible sandcastle the tide demolished. Got soaked when a wave caught them. As sun started invisible descent behind clouds, they sat on driftwood, shoulders pressed together. I'm glad we did this, Elara said. The shoot? The drive, the talking, the terrible sandcastle, all of it. His arm came around her waist. Me too. The camera crew packed up, giving them privacy. Beach emptying, just them and the ocean. Hey, Elara? Julian's voice was careful. Yeah? That thing you said in the car, about learning to not control everything. Are you talking about work or about us? Both. Everything. I've spent 3 years rebuilding walls, making sure I never need anyone. And then you ambushed my coffee pitch and fell into my life and made me want to try again. Is that good or bad? I don't know yet. Ask me in 6 months. Deal. He kissed her forehead. But for the record, I'm betting on good. They drove back in comfortable silence, rain starting gentle. By the time they reached Portland, sun had set. Julian pulled up outside her building. Neither moved to leave. Come upstairs, Elara said. I'll make dinner. We can edit footage. Are you sure? I'm sure about you. Isn't that enough? His smile was slow. Yeah, that's enough. The desk clerk looked apologetic. I'm so sorry. The storm knocked out half our system, and with the wedding party, we have one suite left. King bed, that's all. Sunday night at Cannon Beach had turned complicated. Storm Rachel gambled would create dramatic content, instead created travel chaos. Highway 26 closed due to flooding. They were stuck until Monday. Separate rooms, Elara repeated. I can put you on wait list for cancellations, but with the highway closed, I doubt anyone's leaving. Julian leaned on counter. Other hotels? Everything's booked. Wedding, storm refugees, postponed surf competition. This is genuinely all I can offer. Elara met Julian's eyes. They'd been together, actually together, for 3 weeks. But sharing a hotel room felt different, more intentional. I can sleep in the car, Julian said quietly. Don't be ridiculous. It's 40 degrees and pouring. Then what do you want to do? Trust, choosing vulnerability. We take it. It's one night. We're adults. The clerk handed over keys with visible relief. Room 304, top floor, ocean view. The room was beautiful. Exposed beams, stone fireplace, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking storm-dark Pacific. The bed was indeed king-sized, covered in pristine white linens. Julian set down their bags. I'll take the floor. That's ridiculous. The couch, then. He gestured to small love seat. Julian, you're 6 feet tall. That would destroy your back. She sat on bed edge, testing the mattress. We can share. We've fallen asleep together plenty. That was accidental. This is premeditated. So we premeditate like adults. You stay on your side, I stay on mine. We sleep. Simple. Nothing about this felt simple. They got ready with exaggerated casualness. Julian changing in bathroom, Elara in main room. Brushed teeth in shifts. Arranged charging cables on opposite nightstands. When they finally slid under covers, careful foot of space between them, tension was thick. Good night, Elara said to ceiling. Good night. Silence. Rain drummed windows. Ocean roared invisible. Elara lay rigid, hyper-aware of Julian's breathing, warmth radiating from his body, the way the mattress dipped slightly toward him. She tried counting sheep, then design projects, then reasons this was a terrible idea. You awake? Julian's whisper cut through darkness. She could have pretended sleep. Unfortunately. Me too. This is awkward. Spectacularly awkward. She felt him shift. We're both pretending to sleep while planning tomorrow's content strategy, aren't we? I was thinking about color grading. I was rewriting next week's copy. They both laughed, quiet, relieved. Okay, Elara said, rolling onto her side to face him. If we're both awake, we might as well talk. Julian mirrored her position, face barely visible in ambient light. What should we talk about? Normal couple things? We're not a normal couple. Fair point, she thought. Tell me something you've never told anyone else. Long pause. Then, I'm scared this is the best thing that'll ever happen to me, and I'll somehow ruin it. The confession landed raw between them. I'm scared of the same thing, Elara admitted, except my version is you'll leave when you realize I'm not worth the effort. Elara, his hand found hers under covers. You're the most worthwhile thing in my life. The work, the campaign, the job, none of it matters as much as this. How can you be sure? Because I've had recognition before, success. It's hollow without someone to share it with. You make everything mean something. Her throat tightened. She didn't know how to trust that. But lying here in the darkness, his hand warm in hers, she wanted to try. Can I tell you something else? Julian asked. Always. That first day you walked into Cascade, I didn't just think you looked terrifying. I thought you looked like someone who would change my life. And I was right. Her heart did something complicated. You're making this very hard. Making what hard? Staying on my side of the bed. His laugh was soft, surprised. Is that an invitation? Maybe. I don't know. Yes. She closed the distance, eliminating careful space. I'm tired of performing distance when all I want is closeness. Julian's arm came around her waist, pulling her against him. She tucked her head under his chin, breathing him in. Better? He murmured. Much better. Good, because I was dying over there pretending I didn't want to hold you. They lay tangled together, listening to storm. Elara's fingers traced absent patterns on his chest. Julian's hand drew slow circles on her back. Elara? His voice barely a whisper. I love you. The words hung in darkness, simple and terrifying. She pulled back just enough to see his face. Say that again. I love you. I'm in love with you. Have been since the coffee shop, probably. Maybe since the hometown coffee ambush. Definitely since the bookshelf. He smiled, nervous. I don't need you to say it back. I just needed you to know. Her eyes burned. You're terrible at timing. I know. We're stuck in a hotel during a storm, sharing a bed out of necessity, and you choose now? Terrible timing. She kissed him, soft, then desperate, pouring everything she couldn't say into lips and hands and breath. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, she pressed forehead to his. I love you too, she whispered, and it's terrifying. Why? Because people I love leave, or betray me, or prove trust was a mistake. I'm not those people. Promise me. I promise you, Elara Chen, I'm not those people. I'm just me, flawed and trying, and completely in love with you. She kissed him again, believing him, choosing to believe him. They fell asleep, wrapped around each other, storm raging outside, campaign forgotten. When Elara woke next morning, Julian was watching her. Hi, he said. Hi. Highway's still closed. We're stuck until at least noon. Oh no. Whatever will we do with unscheduled time? His smile was wicked. I have some ideas. They spent the morning in bed, talking, kissing, mapping each other's histories. The crew called, Julian ignored it. Rachel texted. Elara sent back thumbs up. By the time Highway reopened and they drove back, something fundamental had shifted. This wasn't campaign anymore. This was life. Julian knew something was wrong halfway through morning shoot. Colors too bright, sound too loud, his body moving through water. You okay? Elara asked quietly between takes. Fine, just tired. But he wasn't fine. Hands trembled arranging coffee mugs. Focus kept sliding. When he reached for the pour-over kettle, misjudged distance, nearly knocked it over. Elara caught it, hand closing over his. Julian. I'm fine, he repeated. She pressed palm to his forehead and swore. You're burning up. Just stage lights. Stage lights don't give you a fever. She turned to crew. We need to break. Now. Director started protesting. Behind schedule, client wanted content Friday, but one look at Elara's expression shut him down. 30-minute break, everybody out. Crew scattered. Elara guided Julian to studio couch, hands steady on his elbow. When did this start? She was checking temperature with phone app. Last night, maybe. Thought it was exhaustion. Julian. Her voice was sharp with worry. Why didn't you say something? Because we're behind. Because Rachel's stressed. Because... He stopped. Because what? Because I didn't want to let you down. Her expression softened, then hardened with determination. Okay, we're going back to your place. You're going to bed. I'm calling the shoot off. Elara, we can't... Watch me. Already texting Rachel. She drove him home in his car, hand periodically checking his forehead at red lights. Julian leaned against window, let himself be taken care of, novel experience, being the one who needed. His apartment was dim, quiet. Elara guided him to bed, disappeared into bathroom, returned with water and thermometer. 102.3, that's officially a fever. She handed him water. Drink, then sleep. I'm going to pharmacy. You don't have to. Julian, stop trying to be self-sufficient. Let me help you. The words hit deeper than she probably meant. He'd spent life being the helper, the charmer. Being on receiving end felt vulnerable and strange, and somehow right. Okay. She kissed his forehead, gentle, careful. I'll be back in 20. He must have fallen asleep because when he opened eyes, light had changed and Elara was back, setting bags on nightstand. Fever reducer, vitamin C, throat lozenges, soup from the Thai place, ginger ale, saltines. You didn't have to do all this. I wanted to. She sat on bed edge, brushing hair off his forehead. You've taken care of me plenty. Let me return the favor. She stayed. All afternoon, evening, made him take medicine every 4 hours, brought soup when he could eat, ginger ale when he couldn't, read to him from his poetry collection when he was too tired to focus on phone, changed cold compress with clinical efficiency. At some point, fever, delirious, Julian caught her hand. Why are you doing this? Because you're sick. That's not why. She studied him, flushed face, glassy eyes, complete lack of pretense. Because you stayed late to fix my file corruption last month. Because you've caught me when I've fallen. Because you matter to me. How much? So much it terrifies me. He smiled, loopy with fever. Good, be terrified, means it's real. You're delirious. I'm honest, fever means no filter. His eyes were closing. Love you, so much. Don't leave. I won't leave. Promise? I promise. He fell asleep with her hand in his. Elara sat there a long time, watching him breathe. He was vulnerable right now, truly vulnerable, and he'd let her see it. Let her help. Let her in. She thought about her ex who'd taken vulnerability and weaponized it, about all the ways she'd learned to protect herself, about how Julian had slowly, persistently dismantled every wall. I love you too, she whispered to his sleeping form, even when it terrifies me, especially then. She stayed through night, dozed in chair beside bed, woke every time he stirred to check temperature, bring water, adjust blankets. By morning, his fever had broken. He woke clear-eyed, sheepish. You stayed. I promised I would. You didn't have to. Julian, she moved to sit beside him. Stop trying to be self-sufficient. You take care of everyone. Let someone take care of you. Why? Because you're worth taking care of. Because I want to. Because this is what love looks like. Showing up when someone's vulnerable and not running away. His arms came around her. Thank you. For what? For staying. For not leaving when I was weak. You're not weak. You're human. There's a difference. He held her tighter. She'd been so focused on her own trust issues, she hadn't seen his. His fear of not being enough. His lifelong performance of strength. She'd shown him he could be vulnerable. He'd shown her she could be trusted. Maybe that was what love was. Not just falling, but catching. Not just being seen, but seeing back. The changes were small, but Elara noticed everything. Coffee appeared at her desk every morning now. 9:17 a.m. exactly. Steam still rising. Temperature perfect at 175 degrees. Julian bringing her matcha had become routine as breathing. She'd never told him the specific temperature. He just noticed. Then there were meetings. Julian started saving her seat. Not just any seat, but the one by window where she could see whiteboard and concept wall simultaneously. He'd slide chair out as she approached, tiny gesture that felt enormous every time. One morning, Marcus from accounting took her spot. Julian politely suggested he might be more comfortable at the other end. Marcus moved without question. The creative team noticed. You two are like one brain now, Sophia said during brainstorm. You literally finish each other's concepts. It was true. Elara would start a thought about color psychology. Julian would complete it with perfect headline. He'd suggest narrative structure. She'd immediately know visual treatment. They moved through creative problems like dancers who'd learned each other's steps. Blue or green? Elara asked one afternoon, comparing palettes. Teal, Julian said without looking up. Split the difference. You're going for trust and growth together. How did you? Because you always want to say two things at once. It's your superpower. She stared. He glanced up, caught her expression, grinned. What? You know me too well. That a complaint? An observation. His grin softened. I like knowing you. The micro shifts accumulated. He learned she needed silence to color correct and would shoo people from her desk. She learned he paced when writing and kept his path clear. He knew she touched her collarbone when overwhelmed. She knew he rubbed his jaw when frustrated. They developed systems. Morning coffee review, 9:30. Afternoon creative check-in, 3 p.m. End-of-day debrief at 6, usually at his apartment or hers, usually becoming dinner, usually becoming more. We're disgustingly domestic, Elara said one evening, watching Julian chop vegetables while she set table. When did this happen? Somewhere between campaign panic and actual partnership. He scraped onions into pan. You object? No, it's just surprising. I didn't think I wanted this. This being? Someone who knows how I take my coffee. Someone who saves my seat. Someone who makes space for me without me asking. Julian set down knife, crossed to her, pulled her close. You deserve someone who makes space. You've always deserved that. I'm still getting used to it. Take your time. I'm not going anywhere. The words settled warm in her chest. At Cascade, team dynamics shifted. Where once Elara and Julian were rivals, now they were inseparable. New hires asked if they were the same person split in two. Older staff rolled eyes affectionately when they talked over each other. Rachel watched with calculating interest. You two are insufferable and brilliant. Client loves the domestic content. They want more of this energy. We are a couple that works together, Elara pointed out. Yes, that's the problem and solution simultaneously. Rachel tapped her desk. Campaign ends in 3 months. Have you thought about what happens after? They had, constantly. Late-night conversations about future, about whether they could sustain this without campaign structure, about whether partnership would survive without pressure that forged it. We'll figure it out, Julian said. Rachel's expression was unreadable. See that you do. You're too valuable to lose, either of you, together or separate. That night, lying in Julian's bed, Elara traced patterns on his chest. 3 months left. I know. Are you scared? Terrified. You? Same. She propped on elbow. What if we're only good together under pressure? What if when campaign ends, we realize this was circumstantial? Then we've spent 3 months being circumstantially perfect for each other. His hand cupped her face. But I don't think it's circumstantial. I think campaign gave us permission to be what we already were. Which is? Better together than apart. She kissed him, soft, certain, believing him more each day. The micro shifts continued. He started keeping her favorite snacks in his desk. She started bringing extra chargers for his perpetually dead battery. He learned her meeting schedule by heart. She learned his writing rhythms. They became a unit, not losing individual identities, but weaving them together in ways that strengthen both. This is what partnership looks like, Simone said during coaching check-in. Not losing yourself, finding yourself more clearly because they see you so well. Elara looked at Julian across studio. He was arguing with DP about lighting, hands gesturing, completely in element. Beautiful and brilliant, and hers. When did he become hers? Somewhere between rivalry and respect, and quiet accumulation of small moments. Somewhere between coffee and creative briefs, and choosing each other every day. He caught her watching, smiled that private smile reserved just for her. Yeah, he was hers. And somehow, miraculously, she was his. The micro shifts had added up to something massive. The scene had been planned for weeks. Cascade's largest studio, dressed as romantic restaurant, candlelight, wine glasses, final video in Evermore's first date anniversary series. Script called for a kiss, their first on-camera kiss since campaign began. Technically, they kissed plenty off camera, against Julian's kitchen counter arguing typography, in Elara's bed lazy Sunday mornings, in his car at red lights. They'd mapped each other's mouths, learned preferences, turned kissing into its own private language. But this was different, choreographed, recorded from 3 angles with professional lighting, crew of 12 watching. "It's just a kiss," Julian said in green room, adjusting collar for 3rd time. "We've done this before." Not for cameras, Elara checked lipstick. Not with everyone watching. Not with it meaning something for campaign. Does that change it? Doesn't it? He came up behind her, meeting eyes in mirror. Kiss is real. Feelings are real. Only thing performed is setting. What if I can't separate them? Then don't. His hands settled on shoulders. Just kiss me like you mean it. Like we're the only 2 people here. Director called places. They walked onto set, hand in hand. Settled into marks. Restaurant backdrop convincing. Dim lighting, jazz soft. Intimate space where conversations happened in whispers. "Okay," director said. "This is the moment. You've finished dinner. Conversation's been amazing. You're realizing this person is special." Julian, you reach for her hand. Elara, meet him halfway. Let tension build. Then kiss. Make it count. This seals the campaign. No pressure. Slate clapped. Camera's red light blinked. Action. Julian reached across table, palm up. Elara placed hand in his, gesture so familiar now it barely required thought. His thumb traced circles against pulse point, their private signal for, "You're safe." "I didn't expect this," Julian said, lines soft, natural. "When I matched with you, I thought maybe interesting conversations. I didn't think you'd become my favorite person." Elara's scripted response stuck, because he wasn't acting. She could hear it, truth underneath words. This wasn't Julian the performer. This was Julian who brought coffee and saved seats and caught her when bookshelves fell. "You surprise me every day," she said, abandoning script for honesty. "You see me clearer than I see myself. You make me braver." Director didn't call cut. Cameras kept rolling. Julian stood, moved around table. Elara rose to meet him. His hands came up to frame her face, gentle, questioning, even though they'd done this dance 100 times. "Can I kiss you?" he asked, scripted question becoming something more. "Please," she whispered, completely off book. He kissed her, soft first, careful, lips warm, familiar, tasting faintly of coffee. Her hands found his waist, pulling closer. His fingers tangled in her hair, angling for deeper access. Kiss shifted, became urgent, real. They forgot cameras, forgot crew, forgot everything except each other. This was them, messy and real and so in love it hurt. Elara's hands fisted in his shirt, Julian's arm locked around waist, pressed together completely, breathing each other's air, drowning. Someone cleared throat, then again louder. They didn't stop. "Cut," director finally called. "Beautiful, perfect, amazing. You can stop now." They broke apart slowly, reluctantly. Julian's hand lingered on her jaw, thumb brushing kiss-swollen lip. Elara's fingers still twisted in shirt. Staring at each other, both breathing hard. Crew was silent. Then someone started slow clap. Everyone joined. Applause for performance that had stopped being performance. "That was," director said at loss. That was everything we needed and more. I think we got it in one take. Julian's forehead touched Elara's. You okay? That wasn't acting. No, it wasn't. Everyone saw. Good. He pulled back to meet eyes. Let them see. I'm tired of separating real from performance. This is real. You're real. We're real. Crew was breaking down equipment, director reviewing footage. But Elara and Julian stood center of set, still holding each other. I think we just told entire campaign the truth, Elara said. Think they noticed? Oh, they noticed. His smile was crooked, unrepentant. Good. They walked back to green room, hand in hand. Elara's lips still tingled. Julian kept glancing at her like he couldn't believe she was real. That was intense, she finally said. That was us. He pulled her into room, closed door, kissed her again, slower this time, thorough, taking time. No cameras, no crew, just us. Feel the difference? It feels the same. Exactly. We're the same everywhere, camera or not. Setting changes, we don't. Rachel knocked, entered. Footage is incredible. Clients already seen rough cut, sent immediately. They're calling it most authentic romantic moment ever captured for campaign. You two just set new standard. Great, Elara said weakly. They want more of this, more intimacy, more reality. Campaign extending another 3 months, increasing budget, increasing scope. This is huge. 3 more months. Elara's stomach fluttered. Anxiety or relief, couldn't tell. Rachel left. Julian pulled Elara onto green room couch. 6 more months, he said. That's good, right? I don't know, is it? Elara, he turned her to face him. Stop panicking. Campaign extending doesn't change us. We exist outside of this. Do we? Yes, absolutely yes. Campaign gave us structure, but we built something real inside that structure. When it ends, whenever it ends, we continue. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. She wanted to believe him, was learning to believe him. Day by day, kiss by kiss. Okay, 6 more months. 6 more months of this, he kissed her. Of us. Of building something that outlasts any campaign. She kissed back, believing a little more, trusting a little deeper. Outside green room, campaign continued. But inside they were just 2 people choosing each other. Again and again and again. The metrics came through Thursday morning. Evermore's user base grown 340% in 6 months. App engagement up 280%. Campaign being studied in marketing journals, analyzed in think pieces, cited as gold standard. Elara and Julian were trending on 3 platforms. We're famous, Julian said, staring at phone in Elara's kitchen. Actually famous. People are dressing up as us for Halloween. That's disturbing. That's success. He showed her screen. Fan art, couple costumes, memes comparing their chemistry to famous partnerships. We did it, Elara. We actually did it. Rachel called all hands for that afternoon. Team gathered in main conference room, champagne chilling, energy electric. You've seen the numbers, Rachel began. Evermore campaign is most successful thing Cascade's ever produced. We're fielding calls from competitors wanting to replicate the model, getting offers for speaking engagements, panels, awards. She turned to Elara and Julian. You two changed the landscape. Proved authentic storytelling beats manufactured perfection. That people want real connection, real conflict, real growth. Team applauded. Marcus made toast about finding your person that was surprisingly touching, but all Elara could focus on was weight of expectation. They'd succeeded, massively, and now they had to sustain it. That evening, back at Julian's apartment, they collapsed on couch with Thai food and exhaustion. We should be celebrating, Elara said, pushing pad Thai around container without eating. But you're not celebrating. I'm terrified. Of what? Of this being the peak. Everything after being let down. Of us being defined by this campaign forever. She set down food. What if we can never top this? What if we spend rest of careers chasing this high and never reaching it? Julian was quiet. Then, what if we don't try to top it? What? What if this is enough? We take the win, enjoy it, then move on without trying to recreate it. He pulled her against him. Success isn't a ladder we climb forever. Sometimes it's just a moment we appreciate and release. That's very Zen. I'm reading philosophy, someone's influence. She smiled despite anxiety. We really did it, didn't we? We really did. Together. That's the only way that mattered. And whatever comes next, we'll do that together too. They spent evening reviewing footage, planning moves, being interviewed by 3 publications about their authentic approach. Questions were the same. How did you maintain chemistry? Stay real. What's your secret? The secret, Elara realized, was simple. They'd stopped performing, chosen truth over perfection, built something real in middle of something manufactured. At midnight, they finally shut laptops. Julian pulled Elara to bed. I'm proud of us, he said quietly. Me too. Not just campaign, all of it. The way we fought and grew and chose each other even when scary. Especially when scary. His arms tightened. Yeah, especially then. They fell asleep as champions of authentic storytelling, as marketing case studies, as couple everyone wanted to emulate. But more importantly, they fell asleep as themselves. 2 people who'd found each other through manufactured proximity and made something real through deliberate choice. Success was external, but victory was internal. They'd won by becoming who they actually were instead of who they thought they should be. 3 months after campaign's peak, something shifted. Julian couldn't name it, couldn't point to specific moment, but air between them felt different, heavier, weighted with things unsaid. They were at Cascade, late night, alone in Studio B, reviewing final edits for their last scheduled Evermore video. Campaign winding down, client happy, metrics strong, everything exactly as it should be. Except it wasn't. Elara sat at editing station, clicking through footage, expression unreadable. Julian watched from couch, ostensibly reviewing copy, but actually watching her. Line of her shoulders, way she touched collarbone, her tell for being overwhelmed. Talk to me, he finally said. About what? About whatever's making you shut down. She didn't look away from screen. I'm not shutting down, I'm working. Elara, Julian, not now. He crossed to her, spun chair to face him. Yes, now. Because you've been distant for 3 days, and I don't know what I did wrong, but I can't fix it if you won't tell me. You didn't do anything wrong. Then what's happening? She stared at him. He could see war in her eyes, battle between opening up and protecting herself. Campaign ends in 2 weeks, she finally said. I know. And then what? We just continue? Like structure that built us doesn't matter? Structure didn't build us, it gave us proximity. We built us. Did we? Her voice cracked. Or did campaign build us, and we're about to find out we were never real without it? Julian's chest tightened. You don't believe that. I don't know what I believe. I don't know who we are without this. Without shoots and meetings and shared goals. What if we're just good colleagues who got carried away in forced proximity? That's not what this is. How do you know? Because I love you. Words came out too loud, too raw. I love you independent of any campaign. I love you when we're working and when we're not. I love you in crisis and calm. Campaign is a job. You're my life. She pressed hands to face. Don't say things like that. Why not? Because it's too much. Because I don't know how to carry that. Because people who love me leave or betray me or prove trust was mistake. And I can't, voice broke, I can't go through that again. Julian pulled hands from her face, held them tight. Look at me. She did, tears tracking down cheeks. I am not your ex. I am not the person who stole your work. I am not anyone who's hurt you before. I'm just me, flawed and trying and so completely in love with you that some days I can't breathe for it. You don't understand. I do understand. You're scared. I'm scared too. But I'm more scared of losing you because you wouldn't let me prove I'm staying than I am of any risk this relationship poses. What if you change your mind? What if I don't? Everyone does, eventually. Then I'll be the exception. He cupped her face. Let me be the exception, Elara, please. She was crying in earnest now. I don't know how. You just do. Day by day, trust by trust, moment by moment. You keep choosing me, I keep choosing you, and we build something that has nothing to do with campaigns or metrics or anything except us. What if I fail at that? Then we fail together. But I don't think you'll fail. I think you're the bravest person I know. And if you can trust me with your work and time and Kat, you can trust me with your heart. She laughed through tears. You're bringing Eloise into this? She's an important stakeholder. You're ridiculous. You love me anyway. I do. Admission was soft, broken, true. I love you so much it terrifies me. Good. Be terrified. That means it matters. That means it's real. They stood like that long time, wrapped around each other in empty studio, editing screen still glowing, campaign winding down, future uncertain. But they were choosing each other. That was certain. What happens when campaign ends? Elara whispered. We keep doing this, creating together, fighting together, building something that's ours, not theirs. Like what? I don't know yet, but we'll figure it out, together. She pulled back to look at him. You really believe that? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. She kissed him then, soft, grateful, still scared but choosing him anyway. Choosing them. Choosing terrifying possibility that maybe this was real enough to outlast any structure that built it. When they broke apart, Elara's phone buzzed. Rachel, final campaign review tomorrow, 10 a.m. Both of you. Big decisions to make. Tomorrow, Elara said. Tomorrow. Whatever comes, we face it together. Promise? I promise you, Elara Chen. Together. Always. She believed him. It was still terrifying, but she believed him. Elara walked home through Portland's rain. Final campaign review was done. Client thrilled. Rachel had offered them both co-creative director positions. Equal authority, equal salary, exactly what they'd worked for. They'd succeeded. So why did she feel like suffocating? Her apartment was dark when she arrived. Eloise greeted with demanding meows. Elara fed her on autopilot, then collapsed on couch, staring at concept wall. All those connected ideas, all leading to success earned through partnership with someone she'd fallen in love with while pretending to be in love for cameras. The irony was absurd, the situation impossible. Because campaign was ending, but feelings weren't. Structure that gave them proximity was dissolving, and she had no idea how to exist with Julian without it. What if they were only good together under pressure? What if creative tension that made them brilliant partners would fade when they weren't fighting for same goals? What if love wasn't enough once campaign's adrenaline wore off? Phone buzzed. Julian calling. She stared at his name. Answered. Hi. Are you okay? You left the meeting pretty quickly. I needed to think. About what? Everything. Us. Whether we're real or just really good at performing. Elara, he said when she didn't answer. Talk to me, please. I don't know if I can do this. Silence. Then, do what? The job? Us? I don't know. Maybe both. Maybe I don't know how to be good at work and good at love simultaneously. Maybe I've been fooling myself thinking I could have both. You're panicking. I'm being realistic. You're catastrophizing. His voice was gentle. And I get it. Campaign's ending. Structure's changing. It's scary. But we're not ending, Elara. We're just beginning without safety net of professional obligation. That's what terrifies me. What if professional obligation was the only thing keeping us together? It wasn't. It isn't. You know that. Do I? Julian, I don't know how to do this. Don't know how to trust you'll stay when exciting part's over. When it's just regular life and regular problems and regular me without gloss of successful campaign. Regular you is my favorite you. You don't know that yet. We've been operating in crisis mode for 9 months, fighting for same goal, performing for cameras. What happens when it's just us, with no external structure to justify intensity? Then we build our own structure. I'm coming over. Julian. I'm already in car. Be there in 10. He hung up. Elara sat in dark apartment, Eloise purring in lap, concept wall blurring through tears. She'd fallen so completely, let him in so deeply, and now she was terrified he'd see truth. That underneath brilliant art director was just scared person who'd been hurt before and never fully healed. Knock came exactly 10 minutes later. She opened door to find Julian soaking wet, hair plastered to forehead, looking at her with such naked concern that her breath caught. Hi, you're drenched. It's raining. You drove through storm to get here. You're panicking. Of course I drove through storm. He stepped inside, dripping on her floor. Talk to me. Real talk. No performance. Elara closed door, leaned against it. I'm scared you're going to leave. I'm not leaving. You don't know that. No one knows that. People say they'll stay, and then they don't. They say they love you, and then they use you. They say you matter, and then they prove you were just convenience. Elara, my ex said all same things you're saying now, and then he took everything I'd built and claimed it as his. So forgive me if I'm having trouble believing that this time is different. Julian was very still. Water dripped from his jacket under her floor. I'm not him. I know, logically I know, but the scared part of me, the part that got destroyed 3 years ago, that part doesn't believe anyone can actually stay. Then let me prove it. He took a step closer. Let me prove it every single day. Let me show you I'm not him. I'm not anyone who's hurt you. I'm just me, and I'm staying. For how long? As long as you'll let me. As long as we both want this. As long as it takes for you to believe I'm not going anywhere. Rain traced patterns down windows. What if I never believe it? What if I'm too broken to trust anyone completely? Then we work with that. He closed distance, pulled her into arms despite being soaking. We work with your fear and my insecurity, and all ways we're both damaged, and we build something anyway. Scared and imperfect and real. She pressed face into wet jacket, breathing him in. This is so hard. Best things usually are. I hate that you're always right. I'm not always right, just when it matters. She laughed despite tears and his arms tightened. Here's what I know, Julian said against her hair. Campaign gave us proximity, but we gave us everything else. Late nights working through problems, coffee runs, inside jokes, way we fight and create and make each other better. That wasn't campaign, that was us. And it continues with or without any external structure. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. I love you. Not campaign version, not perfect version, real version. The one who catastrophizes and needs exactly 175-degree matcha and talks to her cat about philosophy. That version. Forever that version. Forever's a long time. Then let's start with tomorrow, and next day, and next, until forever is just series of todays where we keep choosing each other. She searched his face, looking for cracks in certainty, found none. Okay, Okay? Tomorrow. We start with tomorrow. His smile was brilliant. I'll take it. He kissed her, wet and cold from rain, but warm where it mattered. She kissed back, choosing to believe, choosing to try, choosing him despite fear. When they broke apart, Julian was shivering. Elara pushed him toward bathroom. Shower. Now. Before hypothermia proving a point. You think I'm dramatic? I think you're soaking and stupid and mine. His expression went soft. Say that again. You're stupid? The last part. Mine. You're mine. Yeah, I am. He showered. She made tea. They ended up on couch, Julian in her spare clothes, Eloise claiming his lap with imperial authority. See, Julian said, scratching behind Kat's ears, even she knows I'm staying. She's a cat. She knows nothing. She's a visionary. Show some respect. Elara laughed, and it felt like releasing something. Last grip of fear, final wall coming down. They fell asleep there, tangled together, Eloise wedged between, rain still drumming. And when Elara woke in middle of night, Julian was still there, solid and warm and real. He'd stayed. Maybe he'd keep staying. Maybe she could learn to believe that. Friday morning, Elara arrived at Cascade at 7 a.m. Final campaign video was uploading. Client call scheduled for 10. Champagne chilling. Everything perfect. She'd forgotten notes in yesterday's chaos, left them in conference room during final review. Headed there now, early enough that office was still empty, quiet except for hum of electronics and distant sound of someone on phone call. That someone was Julian. His voice carried through conference room's glass wall, animated, professional, the tone he used for important conversations. Elara slowed, not wanting to interrupt, started to turn away, then caught fragment of what he was saying. Yeah, the campaign's done. I'm talking to Zenith Agency tomorrow. Her stomach dropped. Zenith, the competitor who'd been trying to recruit him for months. The agency that had offered more money, more prestige, more creative freedom. The one he'd said he turned down. She shouldn't listen, should announce herself, should give him chance to explain. Instead, she froze, barely breathing. Cascade's good, but it's too small for what I want to do next, Julian continued. I need... His voice dropped. Elara stepped closer. I need to prove I can succeed without this campaign defining me, without being known as half of Elara and Julian. Words hit like physical blows. Elara? He paused, listening to whoever was on other end. She's talented, don't get me wrong, but... Elara didn't wait to hear the rest. Couldn't bear to hear what came after, but... She turned and walked, quickly, mechanically, back to her desk. Sat down, stared at monitor without seeing it. He was leaving. He was leaving and he'd lied about it. He'd looked her in the eyes last night and told her he chose her. Told her campaign ending didn't matter. Told her he wasn't going anywhere. All lies. Just like before. Just like her ex. Use partnership to build profile, then jump ship when something better comes along. She'd known. Deep down, she'd known not to trust this. Known it was too good to be real. Known that Julian Marks, charming, talented, ambitious, wouldn't stay with small-scale Cascade when bigger opportunities came calling. Her core wound ripped open, bleeding fresh. Trust no one. Need no one. The rules she'd broken for him, and look where it got her. Her hands were shaking. She forced them still. Professional. Stay professional. She could get through client call, champagne celebration, congratulations. She could perform one more time. And then she could rebuild walls and remember why she'd built them in the first place. Julian appeared at her desk at 9:30, coffee in hand. Morning, I brought your... Thanks. She took matcha without meeting eyes. Client call in 30 minutes. You ready? Yeah. Are you? You seem off. Everything okay? Fine, just focused. He studied her, concern flickering. Elara, I need to prep. She turned back to monitor, dismissing him. She felt him hover, felt his confusion, felt moment he decided not to push. Okay, see you in conference room. He left. Elara stared at screen, vision blurring. She'd been right to be scared, right to hold back, right to know that trust was just another word for setting yourself up for betrayal. She'd just been stupid enough to forget it for 9 months. Monday morning, Elara arrived at Cascade at 6 a.m. Office empty, silent except for hum of computers. She claimed conference room before anyone arrived, spread work across table, built fortress of professionalism. By 8 a.m. when team trickled in, she was deep in mock-ups for new pitch, headphones on, eyes locked on screen. Barely looked up when people said good morning. Julian arrived 8:30. She felt him before she saw him. Shift in air, weight of attention. He stood in doorway, long moment. She didn't acknowledge him. He knocked on glass. Elara. She pulled off headphones. Yes? Single word came out ice cold. Can we talk? About what? New pitch is due Friday. I'm slammed. Not about work, about Friday, about what you heard. I heard enough. She put headphones back on. I have a deadline. She saw his jaw tighten, saw frustration flash. Then he turned and walked away. Good. The rest of team noticed immediately. Change in temperature. Way Elara and Julian, who'd been inseparable for 9 months, now operated in careful orbits that never intersected. Are you guys okay? Sophia asked during creative review. Fine, Elara said, just busy. You seem focused. I seem focused. Julian didn't contradict her, just sat opposite side of table, expression carefully neutral. Meeting was efficient, professional, completely devoid of creative spark that usually ignited when they worked together. Ideas fell flat. Solutions felt forced. Energy was wrong. Rachel watched it all with narrowed eyes. After meeting, she caught Elara at desk. My office, now. Elara followed, dread pooling. Rachel closed door, gestured to chair. What happened? Nothing happened. We finished campaign. Now we're back to normal work. Normal work where you can't be in same room without temperature dropping 20 degrees? Rachel crossed arms. You two were most effective creative partnership I've ever seen. What changed? We completed the project we were hired to complete, that's all. That's bullshit, and we both know it. Rachel leaned forward. I don't care what happened in your personal life, but professionally, you're both assets to this company, and right now you're sabotaging each other. I'm not sabotaging anyone. I'm doing my job. With half passion and quarter effectiveness. Rachel's tone was sharp. Whatever happened between you and Julian needs resolving, because this version of you, closed off, cold, going through motions, this isn't the Elara Chen I promoted to co-creative director. Words hit like slap. I need to get back to work. Fix this. However you fix it, or I'll fix it for you, and you won't like my solutions. Back at desk, Elara found note tucked under keyboard. Julian's handwriting. I'm not leaving Cascade. I turned down Zenith weeks ago. Please let me explain. J. She crumpled it without reading fully, threw it in trash. Lies. More lies. She'd heard what she'd heard. Day dragged. Every meeting without Julian felt hollow. Every creative problem solved alone felt pyrrhic. By 6 p.m., when office emptied, she was exhausted from effort of performing indifference. Phone buzzed. Julian texting. Please talk to me. Please let me explain what you actually heard. She deleted without responding. Another text. I'm not leaving. I'm not using you. I'm not him. Delete. Elara, please. You're killing me. She turned off phone. That night, alone in apartment, Eloise meowed plaintively at door, looking for Julian, who usually came home with Elara, who usually fed her treats. He's not coming, Elara told Kat. Eloise gave her a look that clearly said, "Whose fault is that? Don't look at me like that. You don't understand." But even Eloise's betrayal couldn't make her cry. She'd used all tears Friday night. Now there was just hollow ache and certainty she'd been right all along. Trust was weapon. Vulnerability was dangerous. Love was just another word for giving someone ammunition. She wouldn't forget again. Julian sat in an apartment at 2 a.m., laptop open, trying to figure out what the hell happened. He'd replayed phone call 100 times. The one Elara overheard. The one that detonated their entire relationship. He'd been talking to Mark, his mentor from grad school, who'd gone on to lead creative at Zenith. Mark had called to congratulate on Evermore campaign and float possibility of Julian joining Zenith's team. But Julian had spent entire call turning him down. "The campaign's done. I'm talking to Zenith tomorrow, talking to them to definitively say no, to close that door completely. Cascade's good, but it's too small for what I want to do next. I need to prove I can succeed without this campaign defining me, not by leaving Cascade, but by taking on new challenges within it, by building something beyond Evermore." Elara? She's talented, don't get me wrong, but she deserves this success more than me. But she's reason I want to stay. But I need to find my own identity while still being her partner. Elara had heard fragments, jumped to conclusions, and wouldn't let him explain. He'd tried everything. Calls she ignored, texts she deleted, showing up at her apartment only to find she wouldn't answer door, cornering her at work only to have her walk away mid-sentence. She'd shut him out completely, and he had no idea how to get back in. "What do I do?" he asked, empty apartment. Phone buzzed. Rachel calling at 2 a.m. Never good sign. "Hi. You're awake. Good. So am I. Because I've been looking at this week's productivity reports and they're disaster." Rachel didn't waste time. "Whatever's happening between you and Elara is destroying our creative output. Fix it." "I'm trying. She won't talk to me." "Try harder." "Rachel, she thinks I'm leaving. She thinks I used her. She won't let me explain that she misheard conversation." "Then don't explain. Show her." Rachel's tone shifted, slightly softer. "Julian, I've watched you two for 9 months. I've seen how you look at her, how you protect her, how you challenge her. That doesn't fake. So whatever she thinks she heard, prove her wrong through actions, not words." "How?" "You're creative, figure it out." She hung up. Julian stared at phone. "Prove her wrong through actions." Okay, he could do that. He spent rest of night planning. Email went out Thursday afternoon. All hands meeting Monday, 10 a.m. Campaign celebration and important announcements. Attendance mandatory. Elara read it with growing dread. She knew what important announcements meant. Julian's departure, his move to Zenith. Official end of their partnership. She'd been preparing, mentally rehearsing response. Professional congratulations. Warm smile, no visible cracks. She could perform one more time. Weekend passed in blur. Worked from home, avoiding Cascade, avoiding possibility of running into Julian. Eloise judged her from various furniture. Concept wall mocked her with interconnected ideas, everything linking back to partnership. She'd been so stupid. Monday morning arrived gray and cold. Elara dressed in armor, black blazer, structured dress, severe bun, war paint, battle stance. Arrived at Cascade 9:45. Conference room already filling. Entire creative team, several clients on video, Rachel at head of table looking satisfied. Julian sat near front, wearing charcoal suit from their first major pitch. Looked tired. Good. He should be tired. Their eyes met across room. He started to stand, moved toward her. She deliberately turned away, claiming seat at far end. She felt him watching, ignored it. 10 a.m. sharp, Rachel called meeting to order. Thank you all. As you know, Evermore campaign officially concluded last week. Results speak for themselves. 340% user growth, industry recognition, case study that will define branded content for years. Applause. Elara clapped mechanically. This success is directly attributable to two people, Elara Chen and Julian Marks, whose partnership created something remarkable. Their chemistry, collaborative process, willingness to be vulnerable, it changed how we approach creative work. More applause. Elara's hands stilled. Which brings me to today's announcement. Julian, would you like to explain? No. No. Don't make me watch him announce it publicly. Julian stood, walked to front, looked directly at Elara. I've received several offers over past few months. Larger agencies, better titles, more money. Zenith in particular has been very persistent. Here it comes. And I've turned them all down. Elara's breath stopped. I turned them down because Cascade isn't too small for what I want to do next. It's exactly right size. Because working with talented people matters more than working for prestigious agencies. Because building something real matters more than chasing recognition. He was still looking at her, only at her. I was talking to Zenith last week. That part's true. I was talking to them to tell them definitively, finally, that I'm not interested, that I'm staying here, that I'm choosing this team, this company, this creative partnership that made something extraordinary. Elara couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I'm not leaving. I never was. Room erupted in applause. People congratulating, shaking his hand, celebrating loyalty. But Julian's eyes never left Elara's. She stood, walked out, made it to stairwell before legs gave out, sank onto concrete steps, head in hands. She'd been wrong, completely, catastrophically wrong. He wasn't leaving. He'd turned them down. He'd chosen Cascade, chosen her, and she'd spent weeks treating him like her ex, building walls, shutting him out, destroying best thing that ever happened because she was too scared to trust it. Stairwell door opened. Julian. Don't, she said without looking up. Don't say anything. I can't hear it right now. He sat beside her anyway, not touching, just present. I tried to tell you, 100 times. You wouldn't listen. I know. You heard half conversation and assumed worst. I know. You didn't trust me. I know. Words came out broken. I know, okay? I know I was wrong. I know I hurt you. I know I destroyed everything because I'm too damaged to believe anyone could actually choose me when something better comes along. Elara, he did, you know, my ex, said all same things you said, about partnership, about building together. And then he took everything and left, and I swore I'd never let anyone do that again. Tears streaming now. And then you came along and made me believe it could be different. And I was stupid enough to fall for it. And then I heard you on that phone call and I broke. I reverted to every defense mechanism I've ever built. I chose fear over trust. And I'm so sorry. Julian was quiet long moment. Then, I'm not him. I know. I'm not anyone who's hurt you before. I know. But you still didn't trust me. She finally looked at him. His eyes were red-rimmed, exhausted, hurt. She'd done that. She'd hurt him because she was too scared to believe he wouldn't hurt her first. I don't know how to trust. I don't know how to believe good things are real. I don't know how to stop waiting for betrayal. Then learn. With me. Together. Because I can't do this if every time something looks bad, you're going to assume worst and shut me out. I'm scared. I'm scared too. You think it's easy loving someone who doesn't trust you? Who's always waiting for you to become villain? It's terrifying, Elara. I'm sorry. Sorry isn't enough. He stood. I need you to choose me. Actually, choose me. Not just say words, but mean them. Trust me when it's hard. Believe me when it's scary. Stay instead of running. I don't know if I can. Then figure it out because I love you. But I can't be in a relationship where one misunderstanding destroys everything we've built. I need partner, not someone I'm constantly proving myself to. Julian, wait, but he was gone. And Elara sat in stairwell, surrounded by ruins of her own fear, and finally understood what she'd lost. Rest of Monday passed in fog. Elara sat through remainder of meeting without hearing anything, nodded when people congratulated on campaign, smiled when asked about future projects, performed role of successful creative director while internally screaming. By 4 p.m., she couldn't take it anymore. Found Rachel's office, knocked once, entered without waiting. I need to fix this. Rachel looked up from laptop. Yes, you do. How? That's not my problem. You broke it, you fix it, but do it fast because watching you two operate at half capacity is painful. He won't talk to me. Can you blame him? No, she couldn't. Elara returned to desk, opened laptop, stared at cursor blinking on blank page. How do you prove trust when you've already proven you don't have it? Phone buzzed. Text from Sophia. Campaign metrics just updated. You need to see this. Elara clicked link. Evermore dashboard loaded, showing 6 months of data. User growth, engagement rates, downloads, retention, all skyrocketing, all directly correlated to their content. But that wasn't what made her breath catch. It was sentiment analysis, comments, thousands of messages from users crediting Elara and Julian with making them believe in real connection, in intellectual intimacy, in partnerships built on challenge and growth. They made me believe I could find someone who argues with me and loves me for it. Watching them trust each other taught me to trust my partner. They showed me real love isn't perfect. It's two imperfect people choosing each other anyway. Elara read comment after comment. All these strangers who'd believed in what she and Julian built, who'd learned from their vulnerability, who'd been inspired by their willingness to be messy and real. She'd taught thousands about trust while failing to trust person who mattered most. The irony was devastating. She spent rest of afternoon reading comments, watching footage, seeing herself and Julian through strangers' eyes, seeing what everyone else had seen, two people falling in love, fighting fear, choosing each other again and again until one of them stopped choosing, until she stopped choosing. At 7 p.m., she finally closed laptop, sat in empty office, surrounded by evidence of what they'd built and what she'd nearly destroyed. Phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered. Hello? Hi, is this Elara Chen? Young voice, nervous. Sorry to call late. Got your number from Evermore team. Hope that's okay. Who is this? My name is Maya, sophomore at Portland State. I, just wanted to say thank you. For campaign. For being real about how hard trust is. Elara's throat tightened. You called to thank me? I called to tell you to fight for it. I've been following since beginning. You and Julian, you saved my relationship. My girlfriend and I were going through rough patch, and watching you be vulnerable and choose each other, it gave us permission to do same. Maya, so when I saw you two weren't posting together anymore, weren't interacting, I got worried. And I know it's not my business, but I had to call. Because whatever happened, it's worth fighting for. You taught me that. Tears burned. What if I already destroyed it? Then you fix it. You don't give up on something real just because it's hard. That's what you taught me. That's what you taught thousands of people. Call ended. Elara sat in darkness, holding phone, letting Maya's words settle. Trust is worth the risk. She'd spent 9 months teaching people that truth while failing to believe it herself. Time to change that. Tuesday morning, Elara woke at 4 a.m. with plan. She'd spent night thinking about Julian's words. Show me, don't tell me. Actions, not words. Okay, she could do that. She dressed quickly, drove to Cascade in pre-dawn darkness, let herself into empty office, went straight to main conference room and started working. By 8 a.m., when teams started arriving, she'd transformed space. Every wall covered with printouts, every surface arranged with evidence. Entire room had become presentation, not for clients, but for one person. Rachel found her first. What is this? A pitch. I need conference room until noon. Can you make that happen? Rachel studied walls. This is for Julian. Yes. This is you fixing it. Trying to. Rachel nodded slowly. You have until noon. After that, I need space. 9:30 a.m., Elara texted Julian. Conference room. 10 a.m. Please. She watched phone. No response. No read receipt. Nothing. 9:45, she texted again. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm asking you to hear me. Just once. Please. Still nothing. 9:55, she started to panic. He wasn't coming. He was done. She'd burned bridge too completely to rebuild. 10:02, door opened. Julian stood in doorway looking wary. What is this? A pitch. You told me to show you, not tell you. So I'm showing you. He crossed arms. I'm listening. She took breath. 6 months ago, we started campaign built on authentic connection. We taught people real relationships require vulnerability, trust, choosing each other when hard. We showed thousands of strangers how to be brave. She gestured to first wall, printouts of comments, messages, testimonials. These are some of people we helped. Maya, who saved her relationship by learning to trust again. David, who finally told partner about anxiety. Rachel, different Rachel, who learned being challenged doesn't mean being unloved. Julian's expression was unreadable. We taught them trust is worth risk. And then I forgot that lesson the second it got hard for me. She moved to second wall, screenshots of their campaign journey. Coffee shop, beach, hotel, live stream, every moment of their story. I heard half conversation and assumed worst. I chose fear over faith. I treated you like everyone who's hurt me before, even though you'd spent 9 months proving you were different. Her voice cracked. She steadied it. I don't have excuse. I have reason. Trauma, past betrayal, learned defensiveness. But that's not excuse. You deserve better. You deserve trust. Third wall, data, metrics, every number showing what they'd accomplished together. This is what we built, not just successful campaign, partnership, the kind that makes both people better, the kind where challenge equals growth, where friction generates creativity, where trust multiplies success. She turned to face him fully. You were right. Sorry isn't enough. Words aren't enough. So here's what I'm offering. Action, change, growth. She handed him the document, formal, printed, signed. What is this? Partnership agreement for new creative studio, Chen Creative. Equal ownership, equal authority, equal investment. We build something that's ours, not Cascade's, not any client's. Ours. His eyes widened, reading, Elara, I'm choosing you, not with words, with action, with risk, with everything I have. I'm putting my career, my money, my future into business that only works if we're partners, if we trust each other, if we build together. You're crazy. I'm terrified, but you taught me being terrified just means it matters. That fear is information, not instruction. That best things in life require risking worse pain. She stepped closer. I don't deserve your forgiveness, I know that. But I'm asking for chance to earn back your trust. Not with apologies, with actions. With showing up every single day and choosing you. Choosing us. Choosing terrifying possibility that this is real. Julian stared at partnership documents. At walls covered in evidence. At her. Why? Why now? What changed? Sophomore from Portland State called me, Maya. She told me I taught her trust is worth risk. And I realized I'd been teaching a lesson I didn't believe, preaching vulnerability I wasn't practicing. So I decided to practice it. By starting company? By putting my money where my mouth is. By making it impossible to run. By building something that only works if I trust you completely. She held his gaze. You said you needed partner, not someone you constantly have to prove yourself to. So I'm being your partner, all in, no hedging, no exit strategy, just trust. He was quiet long time, studying her, walls, documents. This is insane. Probably. We could lose everything. We could, or we could build something extraordinary, together. You're really willing to risk your entire career on this? On us? On you. Because you were right, you're not him. You're not anyone who's hurt me before. You're Julian Marks, the person who saw me when I was invisible, challenged me when I was wrong, caught me when I was falling, and stayed when I pushed you away. You're worth the risk. His eyes were bright. Elara, I love you, not campaign love, real love, terrifying kind that makes you vulnerable, kind that requires trust even when scared, kind that means choosing someone every single day, especially when hard. I love you, Julian, and I'm sorry I forgot that when it mattered most. Silence stretched between them. Then Julian set down papers, crossed to her, pulled her into arms with force that knocked breath from lungs. You absolute nightmare of person, he said against hair. You brilliant, terrified, impossible nightmare. She clung to him. Is that yes? That's I love you too, even though you drove me insane. He pulled back to look at her. Chen Marks creative? Or Marks Chen, I'm flexible. We'll fight about it. Constantly. We'll drive each other crazy. Absolutely. His smile was slow, certain. Okay. Okay? Let's do it. Let's build something. Together. All in. She kissed him, desperate, grateful, choosing him with every cell. He kissed back and it felt like coming home, like forgiveness, like trust rebuilt brick by brick. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Julian rested forehead against hers. Don't ever shut me out again. When you're scared, tell me. When you're hurt, show me. But don't build walls, not anymore. I'll try. I promise I'll try. That's all I need. He kissed her softly. Now let's go tell Rachel we're quitting. Actually, she smiled, she already knows. She helped me with paperwork. She what? Rachel doesn't keep people who aren't committed. She'd rather invest in our success elsewhere than watch us be miserable here. She pulled out phone, showed texts. She's giving us blessing. And her first referral. Julian laughed, surprised, delighted, free. You planned all this. I learned from best. You taught me big gestures matter. That showing up is everything. That trust requires action, not words. I taught you too well. Impossible. I'm still learning. They stood in conference rooms surrounded by evidence of their journey, plans for future spread across table. Outside, Portland's morning rain started. Gentle, persistent, promising growth. Partners? Julian extended hand. Elara took it. Partners. They shook, formal, professional, full of promise, then kissed on it, unprofessional, perfect, full of love. Cascade all hands reconvened 2 p.m. Elara and Julian stood at front, hands clasped, facing team that had become family over 9 months. Rachel sat in back, arms crossed, smiling slightly. We have announcement, Julian began. Elara and I are leaving Cascade. Gasps, whispers. Sophia looked devastated. Not because Cascade isn't amazing, but because we've built something here that deserves its own space. We're starting Chen Marks Creative, partnership focused on authentic storytelling, vulnerable branding, campaigns that make people feel seen. We're taking ever more lessons in building business around them, Elara added. Real connection, real trust, real partnership. We'll still collaborate with Cascade on projects. Rachel's graciously agreed to be our first partner agency, but we needed to build something that's ours, something that only works if we trust each other completely. Team was silent, processing. Marcus raised hand. Is this because of fight? Week where you two barely spoke? Elara and Julian exchanged look. Yes, Elara admitted, and no. Fight showed us we needed to build something more resilient than campaign-based partnership, something that couldn't be destroyed by one misunderstanding. So we're building it, Julian finished, together, with full transparency, full commitment, full trust. Rachel stood. Before we get emotional, let's discuss logistics. Chen Marks will have first right of refusal on any Cascade projects aligning with their vision. In return, they'll provide consulting on authentic storytelling. It's partnership, not divorce. Though we will miss you, Sophia said, tears in eyes. We'll still be around, Julian promised, just with our own door. And probably terrible coffee because we're bootstrapping. Team laughed. Tension broke. People lined up to congratulate, ask questions, pitch themselves for freelance. By 4 p.m., when meeting finally ended, Elara and Julian were exhausted and exhilarated. They walked to Julian's car, hands linked. We really did that. We really did. We quit our stable jobs to start company based on trust and partnership. Yep, we're insane. Probably. He pulled her close. But we're insane together. That's what matters. They drove to her apartment, ordered takeout, spent evening planning. Company structure, client outreach, portfolio curation, practical logistics of building something from nothing. At midnight, surrounded by notes and half-eaten Thai food, Julian looked up from laptop. Hey, Elara? I'm proud of us, for taking risk, for choosing this. She reached across table, took his hand. Me too. I'm terrified, but I'm proud. Good. Being terrified means it matters. You keep saying that. Because it's true, and because I need to remind myself too. I'm scared we'll fail, scared we'll lose everything, scared this won't work. But you chose it anyway. We chose it anyway. That's difference. We're not alone in fear anymore. She stood, circled table, settled into his lap. I love you, Julian Marks. I love you, Elara Chen. Even though I'm nightmare? Especially because you're nightmare. You're my favorite nightmare. And my favorite partner. And my favorite person. That's a lot of favorites. You contain multitudes. I learned that from you. They fell asleep on couch, laptop still open, plans still unfinished. Eloise curled between them with obvious approval. Tomorrow they'd start building. Tomorrow they'd face fear. Tomorrow they'd choose each other again. But tonight they just held each other. Partners in crime, partners in business, partners in love. Choosing trust, choosing risk, choosing each other. Always each other. Chen Mark's creative office had grown. 2 desks became 4. 1 room became 3. Wobbling table got replaced. Wi-Fi improved. Client list expanded from Rachel's referral to 7 active projects. They were surviving, then thriving, then succeeding in ways that surprised everyone, including themselves. Elara arrived early Saturday morning, unusual but excited about something. Found Julian already there, coffee brewed, looking over new pitch deck. You're here early. So are you. I have something to show you. She pulled out laptop. Remember Evermore campaign? Metrics we thought were impressive? Hard to forget campaign that started everything. Look at these. She turned screen to show new data. Chen Mark's projects from last 3 months. Compare engagement, sentiment analysis, conversion rates. Julian studied numbers. Eyes widened. We beat Evermore. We beat Evermore, not by much, but consistently, across every project. How? Because we're better now than we were then. We're not performing authenticity, we're living it. Every client, every campaign, every creative decision comes from this. She gestured between them. From trust, from partnership, from two people who learned to be real. Julian set down laptop, pulled her into arms. We did it. We did it. Together. Always together. They stood like that long moment, holding each other in office they'd built, surrounded by evidence of what trust could create. Hey, Elara? Yeah? Remember 6 months ago, when we were starting this? When you gave me that partnership agreement and I thought you were insane? I remember you calling me Nightmare. You are Nightmare. My favorite nightmare. He pulled back to look at her. But you were also right. Building something that only works if we trust each other completely? Best decision we ever made. Besides choosing each other in first place. That's implied. She kissed him, soft, certain, full of 6 months of growth and trust in choosing each other every single day. What happens next? She asked. We keep building. We keep growing. We keep being real. He smiled. We keep being us. That simple? That complicated. But we're good at complicated. We specialize in it. Chen Mark's creative, specializing in complicated since Tuesday. That's terrible tagline. You write better one. Challenge accepted. They spent rest of morning working side by side, arguing about headlines, debating color palettes, building something extraordinary from nothing but trust and talent and willingness to be vulnerable together. At noon, Elara's phone buzzed. Rachel, lunch? Have potential client I want to intro. She showed Julian. Want to go? Only if you promise to let me argue with your pitch at least once. You're contractually obligated to argue with my pitches. It's in our partnership agreement. Best contract clause ever written. They grabbed coats, headed out into Portland's spring sunshine. Rain had finally broken, giving way to perfect Pacific Northwest weather. Hey, Julian? Yeah? I'm happy. He stopped walking, turned to face her. Yeah? Yeah, like genuinely happy. Not performing it, not pretending it, just happy. His smile was brilliant. Me too. Because of you. Because you taught me trust is worth risk. Because you stayed when I pushed you away. Because you built this with me. We built this. Together. Equal partners. Equal partners who are probably going to be late to lunch with Rachel if we don't start moving. Worth it for this conversation. Sap. You're sap. They walked to restaurant hand in hand, talking about work and life and client Rachel wanted to introduce. Two people who'd started as enemies, become partners, fallen in love, and built something real from campaign performance. Evermore campaign had taught them how to be authentic. Chen Mark's creative proved they'd learned lesson. And somewhere along the way, they'd stopped performing love and started living it. The bookstore was perfect. Powell's City of Books, Portland landmark, labyrinth of stories, place where Elara and Julian had shot one of their first campaign videos. Now decorated with fairy lights and flowers, intimate space for 60 guests. Elara stood in rare books room, looking at herself in vintage mirror. Simple ivory dress, hair loose and natural, minimal makeup. She looked happy. She was happy. Sophia appeared in doorway. 5 minutes, you ready? Terrified, but ready. Good. Terrified means it matters, Elara laughed. Julian's been teaching you his philosophy. It's good philosophy. Sophia hugged her. I'm so happy for you both. When she left, Elara took a moment alone. Thought about journey that brought her here. From enemies to partners. From fear to trust. From performing love to living it. Her phone buzzed. Julian texting from wherever he was waiting. Still time to run. She smiled, typed, Where would I go? You're my favorite person. His response. Good answer. See you soon, Elara Chen. Soon to be Elara Chen Marks. Or Marks Chen. They still hadn't decided. Would probably keep arguing about it forever. Music started. Her cue. She walked through bookstore stacks, past shelves of stories, toward Julian waiting in center space they'd cleared. Her parents on one side, his mother on other, Rachel beaming, entire Cascade team crying, Chen Mark's creative employees cheering. But all she saw was Julian. Charcoal suit, gray-blue eyes bright, that smile reserved just for her. Looking at her like she was best thing that ever happened to him. She reached him, took his hands. "Hi," he whispered. "Hi." Officiant began speaking, but Elara barely heard. Too focused on Julian's face, his hands warm in hers. Fact that they'd made it here despite everything. When it was time for vows, Julian went first. "Elara, you came into my life like storm, terrifying, beautiful, impossible to ignore. You challenged everything I thought I knew about myself, about love, about what partnership could be. You taught me that being vulnerable isn't weakness, that trust is choice we make every day, that real love isn't perfect, it's two imperfect people choosing each other anyway." His voice caught. "You're my favorite person to argue with, my favorite person to create with, my favorite person to choose. Every single day, for rest of my life, I choose you." Elara's turn. Deep breath. "Julian, I spent 3 years building walls, making sure I never needed anyone. And then you ambushed my coffee pitch and fell into my life and made me want to try again. You taught me that trust is worth the risk, that being seen is better than being safe, that love isn't about finding someone perfect, it's about finding someone who makes you want to be brave." Tears tracked down her face. "You're my exception to every rule, my proof that not everyone leaves, my favorite person to trust. Every day, for rest of my life, I choose you." They exchanged rings, simple bands, no diamonds, just commitment. "I now pronounce you partners in life, as you are partners in business, partners in love." Officiant smiled. "You may kiss." Julian pulled her close. "Ready to be officially stuck with me?" "I've been stuck with you since hometown coffee. Might as well make it legal." He laughed and kissed her, and everyone cheered. And Elara thought about how far they'd come, from enemies to this, from fear to trust, from performing to being real. Reception was in bookstore cafe, intimate, cozy, very them. Speeches from Rachel about most stubborn couple I've ever managed. Sophia crying through toast about watching you two fall in love while pretending you weren't. Marcus from accounting surprising everyone with emotional tribute to finding your person. First dance was in fiction section, surrounded by stories, swaying to jazz piano. Julian had finally gotten good at piano. It pays until he could play their song perfectly. "Remember when I said I played badly because I was afraid of being expected to be perfect?" he murmured against her hair. "I remember. You made me brave enough to be good. At piano, at love, at everything that matters. We made each other brave." "Yeah, we did." They danced until Eloise, who they'd somehow convinced officiant to let attend, meowed imperiously from her carrier, demanding attention. "Even at our wedding she's judging us," Elara said. "She's a visionary. She knew we'd end up here before we did." Later, cutting cake, someone shouted, "Speech!" Julian looked at Elara. She nodded. He stood, tapping glass. "Short speech. Elara and I aren't good at short, but we'll try." Laughter. "We started as enemies, spent 2 years as rivals. Then Rachel forced us into fake relationship for marketing campaign, and we were certain it'd be disaster." "It was disaster," Elara interjected. For first few weeks, Julian agreed. "But then something happened. We stopped performing and started being real. We chose vulnerability over safety. We chose trust over fear. We chose each other." He pulled Elara to her feet, arm around her waist. "And that choice, choosing each other every single day, even when scary, especially when scary. That's what we want to celebrate tonight. Not just our wedding, but the journey that got us here. The thousand small choices that added up to this moment. To choosing trust, Elara raised her glass. To choosing risk, Julian added. To choosing each other, they said together. Everyone drank, cheered, celebrated two people who'd fought their way into falling in love. As night wound down, Elara and Julian found quiet moment on bookstore balcony, overlooking stacks below. We did it, she said. We really did. From enemies to this. Best campaign we ever ran, she smiled. Except it's not campaign anymore. No, it's life. He kissed her, soft and certain. And Elara thought about how trust was choice. Love was choice. Partnership was choice. And she chose him. Every day, every argument, every victory and failure and ordinary moment in between. She chose him. Always.